You're strapped to your parachutes.
Hey, where's yours?
What is up, reactors? I have seen The Flash, the final film of the DCEU. The reboot has now started. The Flash is now here, so you know what we gotta do. We gotta reel in this review.
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Now with The Flash, this movie is about Barry going back in time to save his mom. But by doing this, this will alter the future. Barry Allen becomes trapped in a reality in which General Zod has returned, and there are no superheroes to turn to. In order to save the world that he is in and return to the future that he knows, Barry's only hope is to race for his life. But will making the ultimate sacrifice be enough to reset the universe? That is the plot for this film. Now, is this the best comic book movie of all time? Is this better than The Dark Knight, in which people love to compare? Is this better than the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, in which that came out not too long ago? Or is it better than a previous comic book movie film, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse? I will tell you this. For me, it isn't. I don't think it's the best comic book movie. I think it's an okay film in, that standard. But for me, this movie just did not work for me. I think it's an over-exaggeration in which this movie was hyped to the maximum. I went into this movie after hearing the amazing things. I mean, Tom Cruise saw it and said things. And Stephen King. So many celebrities, so many people that I trust their reviews said great things about The Flash, in which I was like, damn, maybe I have my expectations, a little bit too low. Fine, I'll just set them super high. Going into this movie, I was expecting a masterpiece, but wow, what I got was not a masterpiece at all. Now understand, this is my review, this is my opinion. I thought I would just state the obvious, because what I might say might hurt your feelings. But this movie just is not it at all. The first act worked for me. I think it was really good. Seeing Barry being the Flash, even though I think his running style is a little bit weird, but I love how they make fun of his running style in this movie. I thought that was really funny. That got a good laugh out of me. But the baby scene that happens in this intro of the film, ooh, that scene was just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But then you get the intro to the Batman, Ben Affleck's Batman. I think he is great as Batman in this movie. Ben Affleck nails it. He said a long time ago that this film, he feels like he got it right as Batman. And I see that. There's a very particular scene in which Bruce Wayne is talking to Barry. A great scene. But the intro to Batman, my crowd was loving it. This first act hits. But I will say that Ben Affleck's Batman suit, no. I don't know why he was wearing that suit. It just did not work for me. But that first act nails it. And then the second act, I think, delivers too as well, in which you get an introduction to Michael Keaton, who's great yet again as Batman, and Sasha, who's even great as Supergirl. And I would love to see more of her later down the road in the future. Hopefully she returns as Supergirl. But in this movie, I feel like she was, underused. I was expecting a lot more from her in this movie. But when she's on the screen, she's great as Supergirl. The second act I really enjoyed. But what I truly enjoy about this movie overall is Barry and his mom. I think that works really great. But that third act is where this movie falls apart. Where it falls apart with the CGI. Now the CGI, wasn't the best, but it didn't stick out like a sore thumb, in Act 1 or Act 2. But in Act 3, it is heavy special effects. Heavy special effects. The action in this movie is okay. The comedy in this movie is good to a point, but then it just does not work for me. And then it gets to a point in which it was taking me out of the movie, just like the CGI in this movie completely took me out of this movie. A lot of people have been speaking and sharing their thoughts on the CGI all over social media. Now that I have seen the movie with my own eyes, these eyes have 20/20 vision, I can say to you guys that the worst part about The Flash is the CGI. I mean, golly, man. It's just as bad as Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. And it's crazy here. But the Speed Force scenes of Barry traveling, I thought looked cool. It's just at times the special effects just, aren't the best. And I know Andy has come out to speak on it and provide a excuse.
See, now that's some bullshit.
No. A horrible excuse. Flat out. People have been sugarcoating it. I won't. The CGI took me out of this film, and it's primarily the reason why this movie tanks toward the end of this movie. And then by the end of this third act, this movie tries to pick up the pieces and gather itself in a Flash, and I think it does. And then you get an ending that gives you even more questions that you had before. A lot of questions that are unanswered by the end of this film. The credits roll, and then you get an after credit scene that is absolutely rolling of the eyes moment. My theater didn't like it, and I didn't like it. A lot of people in my theater were enjoying this film from Act 1 to Act 2, but Act 3, it was like dead silent in this theater, and the cameos, silence. And I will speak on the cameos. Some cameos I did enjoy. Some cameos are quite shocking and surprising, and some cameos are downright horrendous. Bad. Why in the hell would they green light and think that is okay to put on the big screen? What did you do? But yeah, the cameos were a hit or miss for me. But yeah, that third act totally just does not hit for me at all. Part of the reason why I didn't enjoy this movie like I was planning to. I reeled in all the trailers and I was excited for this film. I set my expectations after hearing these great reviews just for this movie not to meet those expectations, but therefore crash and burn by the end of this film. This movie isn't it. And it's crazy how the month of June started off with, 2 great movies. And then I was expecting yet again another great time in theaters for another great movie, in which I was thinking was The Flash, and that is not what I got. Speaking on the cast some more, Ezra nails it as The Flash. He's playing Barry 2 times. We're getting Barry double the time in this. And Barry number 2 is part of the reason why the comedy just does not hit for me. I was enjoying Barry number 2 for the most part. As the movie went on, I was just like, okay, this just is not working. This guy is ridiculous. I don't think I could take much more. But other than that, Ezra does a good job as the Flash. Do I want to see Ezra play that character again? I think they should recast with all the things that have gone on with Ezra. But speaking on this film alone, Ezra nails it as the Flash. Sasha's great as Supergirl, like I said. Both Batmans, Keaton and Ben Affleck, do a really good job with their characters. It was great to hear that iconic theme of Keaton's Batman.
You are?
Yeah. I'm Batman.
General Zod in this movie, played by Michael Shannon, obviously, is a downgrade to his appearance as General Zod in Man of Steel. I feel like the justice of that character is better portrayed by Michael Shannon in Man of Steel. I feel like in this movie, he's just the villain of the week.
This is mad trippy. Dude, this is catastrophic.
But also touching on the Speed Force and going back in time and going back into the future, those scenes are really cool. But the CGI for those scenes aren't the best. But overall, for The Flash, I think this movie starts off really good, and then it gets great, and then it just falls apart, but tries to pick up those pieces all over again, but it doesn't do it enough in time for me. But that's my review for The Flash. I'm keeping this extremely short. I was very disappointed by this movie. I was expecting so much, but for me to reel this in and not get what I wanted out of this movie is truly disappointing. The Flash gets a 3 out of 5. Out of 10, it would probably be a 7. That's me being nice here, giving it a 7 out of 10. But yeah, that's my review for The Flash. If you like this movie, props to you. There are things to like in this movie. It's just those things that you might like about this movie just did not hit for me. I reeled it in. Should you reel this in? That is entirely up to you. But if you wanted me to tell you to go see this movie, I will simply say, do not reel in The Flash. Go watch something else. There's plenty of other great movies currently in theaters as of right now. But that's my review for The Flash. Thank you guys for reeling it in and watching this review. As always, be sure to comment down your thoughts and your opinions on this film in the comments down below. I'll see you guys in the next Reel It In review. But that is The Flash. This is Reel It In Reactions. I'm Reel It In Miles. Peace.
You have fancy friends.
You know, it was an Uber. Oh, exec.